Well, and with EgoBoys draft, now it gets a little bit awkward. What do you pick for your last hero in the phase here? Because if you lead with your safe laner, sure, you keep it a little bit more open. You have that Mars flexing between the 2 and 3. Or at the same time, if you want to pick up a mid laner here, you have to wait a little bit longer. It feels like EgoBoys isn't going to have that flexibility that we keep seeing teams with second pick sort of having to play around because first pick is just so darn strong. If you pick a safe laner here, they're going to try and find the better matchup. They're going to go for the Jug, which is probably the hero I would have recommended the most for two-based, so a little bit of a deny pick there. But still, it doesn't feel the greatest. It feels like you're making the best of a situation that already is sort of flawed. But this is really the best avenue they could have gone down, because if you don't pick your carry here, the Mars isn't flexible at all. You have to sort of wait, and you can still get that leg up in the matchup, but still, it feels like it's going to be a hard draft for EgoBoys going forward. Of course, they've got a good base. They've got Warlock Mars. They've got Jug Willow. They've got really good standard heroes, but still, I think two-based are going to be pretty happy. And yeah, we see the Wraith King again.
Wraith King, a big pickup for them. High damage, good farmer, and for EgoBoys, you've got some big sort of teamfight plays to go with old-wise, but the Wraith King, obviously, he loves that. If you're throwing out things like the Chaotic Offering, the Terrorize as well to try and lock him down in his first life, then the Reincarnation gets him right back up, and all of a sudden you've expended half your resources to get through half of the Wraith King. So it's going to work out relatively well for two-base here, unless Boris on this hero just gets completely shut down, and I don't really see that one happening. So looks like it's a nice setup for the Wraith King here as we'll move into the final phase of those bans. Simply two-based. They're going to assume that the Mars is headed to the off lane here. They start with a ban on the TA, and honestly, I think that's going to be a safe assumption. I don't think EgoBoys really want to put Mars in the middle lane in this scenario. They could technically still do it, but feels like Alone might want to be put on someone who's going to be maybe a little bit more aggressive and dynamic at this stage.
And I really don't know what they're thinking for I Annihilate. We still do see the Tiny, we still do see the Batrider in the pool. If EgoBoys would maybe want to pick it up, counter it out, lane's not... Well, we won't be able to see the lane up until the heroes are picked, but plays pretty well versus that Timbersaw. But after I said that, I see the Abaddon, and maybe you don't want to have to deal with him purging off your lassos. So really, I'm looking for an EgoBoys hero that feels fantastic, and I'm not really coming up with anything. Everything sort of feels like you're going to have to meet them halfway. And we see the Void Spirit ban as well. I don't know. I with this Wraith King, we keep seeing this Wraith King win games, and I'm sort of sad that people aren't catching on. At least we've gotten past sort of the Medusa phase, and I don't think either team can really pick up the snake at this point. But still, it feels like I'm pretty happy with two-base draft so far.
I feel like they're pretty happy with it as well, as EgoBoys, well, going in for the puck ban at the very end there. Kind of forgot that the puck was still in the pool. EgoBoys, though, were able to remind themselves just in time. So I Annihilate not going to be given that puck, but in terms of a mid option here, you were talking about the Tiny earlier on. That is still very much in the pool, so would give them someone with that sort of burst potential, a lot of lockdown to work with as well, and a hero, regardless of where it ends up sort of laning, that ends up playing very aggressively and very mobile. But it's not going to be the Tiny after all. It'll be the Razor that they pick up here on two-based. So, well, gonna, I guess, try and punish the likes of the Mars and the Jug with that Razor pickup. If you can get that static link, then you're not really doing a whole lot with that Jug.
And it's just a basic hero. You don't have last pick. You're not going to really counter pick the Razor. I do believe they might just pick Quap here. Okay,
Ooh.
that's an Alone classic. Okay, they're banking on Alone this game. Alone is scary to watch him play Morphling. He always sits at super low HP, but there really isn't a fantastic hero to punish him. We did see day one, Undying Tomato did die to a Nyx Assassin once or twice. Giant was able to sneak it in. But aside from that, this is a really good Morph game.
Yeah, and you do, I don't know, you always have that slightly inherent feeling of greed when you end up running that Morphling in the middle lane, but in this instance, with the Mars in that offlane position, it really isn't all that greedy at all. The Jug and the Morphling should have more than enough space to sort of get themselves going here. So, as you said, it looks like a pretty solid Morph game. We'll see what Alone can do, and yeah, EgoBoys are going to be sort of resting a lot of their hopes on him, so we'll see whether he pulls through. Meanwhile,
And
sorry.
yeah, well, we will see that they've got the Morph Willow. Like, we saw Four Zoomers put so much pressure on it, they put so much value in it that I can't imagine Ego Boys aren't undervaluing that either.
Yeah, that is going to be a dangerous combo. Do want to clear up one thing real quick, though, looking at your screen over on that far left. Ivanov, that is still King Tekka, who was playing on a different account earlier on today. That was the Queen Tekka account that we saw playing the offlane position for them previously. So it's a different account, but it is the same player. Just want to sort of clear that up before we hop into it. So name has changed, player has not. But
Yeah, no account swapping, no player swapping.
you always got to be
Hopefully.
careful. People sort of... We get some detectives in here every once in a while, and...
Yeah, people really do that, huh? In NA's essay, huh?
But yeah, clearing that one up before any Reddit threads get started. But we should be loading into this one. We'll see if Ego Boys can get it done with that Morphling. It certainly seems like an exciting play, and well, Ego Boys at this point, they just need a win. They've been sort of struggling to this point in the day. 2 straight losses in that series against Four Zoomers, but a new opponent and a new opportunity. So we are kicking off this final series of the day. TOOBASED versus Ego Boys. As we get things started here, let me pop that back into place real quick, and we are good to go. So looking to see if there's going to be any sort of initial aggression, so to speak, from either side, really. We see Ego Boys pushing out a little bit here. Got King Tekka and the 2 supports sort of making their way to the north. They've got the Morphling sort of trailing behind them, so there's no smoke play here, but depending on how this goes, they could end up running into Simply TOOBASED relatively early if they actually look to move across the river.
And Alone a little bit perturbed by the fact that there is just a monkeys. You're playing versus the monkeys, and you're hearing the monkeys pretty much off cooldown. And if they do bump into anyone, don't think iAnnihilate wants to meet this amalgamation of heroes. If Tano does get him in the bramble, it's most likely not his death, but it is a little bit scary for sure. But yeah, S. Ivanov is going to be Queen Tekka here.
Yeah,
And they're just staying here, huh?
So many aliases. S. Ivanov, aka Queen Tekka, aka King Tekka. He's a man of many names, but right now they're
Boris.
looking for Boris. That's going to be big if they can get this. Boris is going to dodge out the bramble, though. I'm not even sure if that was intentional. He kind of gets blocked by the geometry, but it works in his favor. That is a little bit fortunate. He's going to be able to walk away. It is going to burn through some of the regen, but that's about 4 heroes who were right around you at the start of that fight, and he slips away.
Alone's going to be berated all the way over to the rune as well. He's going to... it would really suck if he has to TP. If he gives up his life to iAnnihilate, that would be terrible. But Kara and Tano are also putting the hurt onto
Oh my god, he got it!
They got... Oh, they killed him with the miscoil.
Jubei pulling out the tricks there. Alone, I think he assumed that it was the aphotic shield that he had skilled at first. Jubei, though, held the point, realized that the Morphling's low enough, and he goes in for the kill. That feels so bad for Ego Boys. They're at an immediate disadvantage now in this middle lane. You see Alone, he tried to TP mid in the first place, so now he doesn't have it. He has to pop the smoke to try and walk back to lane just that little bit faster.
And iAnnihilate is so happy, even though you were getting right-clicked up by 2 supports behind your tower. That was wild in itself, but what a terrible start for Alone, and really on a hero that he really can't afford that sort of start. We saw Gunnar get really shut down on that Morphling before, but I can't imagine he was happy in that situation. I can't imagine a player like Alone would be either.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really even expect that. You don't really think that the Abba at level 1 is going to have that sort of extra damage coming out, but it's unfortunate. It's happened, and Alone is going to have to respond to it as best as he can. And meanwhile, across the side lanes, we do see Fleas trying to sort of get in behind this duo, but the Nyx Assassin's build's a little funky here. He's gone for the mana burn at level 1, so he is going to be able to do a little bit of harassment in terms of burning away that mana, especially considering the fact that Kara and Rises have some pretty limited pools, but in terms of actual aggressive potential beyond that point, he's a little bit lacking for now. But if you can take this sort of Fatal Bonds or even the Shadow Word play out of the lane, they have much less to work with in terms of both offensive and defensive capabilities, so it's a slightly unorthodox play from the Nyx, but it is going to work out relatively well, although now we see a bit of a problem. He's rotating his way mid, looking to protect the water. Okay, not protecting, taking the water rune, but he can't actually rotate. He has no stun.
And it would be really sad if Alone would go down again mid, just
Alone,
sitting
don't make
on
me a
absolutely no
liar. Do
HP.
not make me a liar. He is in some serious trouble. I said Fleet couldn't make the play, but here he is in with the body blocks. I Annihilate's going to bring him down unless there's some sort of miracle. Okay, hello miracle. Alone just walks away. I thought I Annihilate was going to have way more than that, but it turns out I was right all along. See, Flea couldn't get the kill.
Well, and if he
Ugh.
had that second point in static length, then maybe we would have seen a kill. But still, easy rotation. Flea would have loved, and does love getting the Water Rune himself because there really isn't too much regen. And the mana burn, it is just to annoy Kara. It is to make him sort of choose which spells he has. Really, that's the only way that Rises can sort of get away with this lane. And you already see the Healing Ward is zoned so far back, and Flea gets it anyway.
This Nyx Assassin making some moves. Couldn't get the kill mid, but he's being annoying. He grabbed that Water Rune as well. That is sort of worth pointing out. Just sort of glossed over it at the time, but that keeps it out of the opposing bottle. And now, as you said, he's right back down bot, looking to continue this sort of harassment campaign. As Kara, he can go for the heal, or he can go for the Fatal Bonds. He really doesn't get to have both at this point. He's completely out of mana. That Bassi is slightly helpful, but it's not going to regen you up 120 mana in the next minute. So he's just going to have to sit back and wait for the time being. But as he falls back, Monkey's Forever trying to push himself a little bit further forward, hoping that he can be more of a nuisance to Rises directly. Speaking of potential nuisances, though, what's going on up top? Boris and Jubei trying to get in onto Tano, but the Dark Willow buys a little bit of time with the Bramble into the Spear, but I don't know if they can get Jubei here. He does still have some wand charges that aren't actually going to be necessary, as he is going to be able to walk away. So they hold back their opponents, but they can't really turn this one around either.
It's just the skeletons are so obnoxious, especially for Dark Willow. You're never really able to get the most satisfying Bramble off. And at the same time, they're kind of converging on this top Water Rune.
Tano, okay. Tries for the Bramble, doesn't connect, but I don't know. I Annihilate's still kind of low on HP, so he may want to just sort of back it up a little bit, but Flea, he is in some fantastic position here. He gets... Nope, he does not get. Not quite having
Almost.
the range. It was close. He comes in for the mana burn, though, so that's at least going to annoy the Morphling a little bit further, but if that stun connects, maybe they can push in for the kill. Plasma Field was at level 3, but without the stun, it's just not going to happen. I Annihilate simply falls back, and Jubei TP's in to refill the bottle, so I Annihilate is at least sort of trying to control up this middle lane. You take a look at the last hit count, he's about 5 or 6 ahead of the Morphling, and has a pretty respectable amount of denies as well, double digits on that front, so he is working with a bit of an advantage here in terms of both the last hit count and the experience. He's about maybe half a level or so above Alone as he's dropping low, but he's going to be able to morph to strength in time, so he's alive for now, but this pressure just keeps on coming. They may not have gotten to Alone a second time here, but he just keeps on having to play back. His regen gets burned through the second he actually receives it, and this lane is going much worse than originally anticipated.
And it feels like TOOBASED are being incredibly frugal with their resources. Flea has been just stacking, moving in, really just casting 1 or 2 spells, giving Monkeys a lot of the soul XP. And meanwhile, he is like almost level 5.5. He's having a fantastic time versus the Jug. And all you can do is really just heal him up. Kara doesn't have any real aggressive play to make on him. And the only hero that can really kill this Timbersaw is either a level 6 Morphling that's feeling really confident, or possibly King Tekka making that really long rotation. At the same time, Boris is just going to farm up, and he really doesn't have an equal in the farm department. While Timbersaw is slightly greedy, he's really the one going to be hitting creeps this game, and I don't know. Boris is taking a lot of damage top, but I don't think anybody's dying here.
Yeah, he may want to sort of cool it a little bit there, pushing forward like that, but he's able to fall back. It's the Aphotic Shield just in case. Jubei's going to hit him up with a couple of Mist Coils, level 2 as well, so a little bit of extra healing being done, and Boris is really right as rain there. So that brings us to a point you were sort of making there. It is very much true. This Wraith King, he's going to farm like crazy, and in theory, the Jug might be able to sort of match up with him in the long run, but right now, Rises is sort of dealing with quite a bit more pressure than his counterpart, but we do see him trying to push back in, Blade Fury activated, but the second that happens, Monkeys just pops that Timber Chain and falls back. So Rises is not in really a sort of advantageous position down bot. He's making the most of what he's got so far, still about 37 last hits on the board, but it's not quite the same sort of situation that the Boris Wraith King is working with up top.
And we'll see now, I believe, yeah, the Razor will start to take some of these stacks. It's a nice triple stack in the large camp, going to be able to farm the small at the same time. Flea's taking the mid wave. Everything, all of two-base rotations just feel so clean right now. And while Alone will get a little bit of time to farm, you have to put so many points in the attribute shift. It's not fast. You are not really accelerating at a blistering speed on this Morphling. And up until King Tekka really is able to get some sort of levels, he will be popping his 6 pretty soon here. Then we can maybe see some aggression coming out. But I feel like it's really difficult for EgoBoys to make really any of these moves. It feels like they're really off to a pretty bad start this time.
Right, it feels like right now King Tekka and Tano are really the only two capable of doing anything all that aggressive right now, and they're both laning together, and they're both not quite in the position to really make that maneuver just yet. So once they hit level 6, as you said, maybe King Tekka can make some moves, but at this point, where does he go and who does he target? No matter which core hero you're sort of trying to go in on, it's not an easy kill. The Wraith King is holding a point for... Actually, he's not holding a point for the ult, but he's close to level 7, so now he can hold on to that skill point. The Razor, not going to be really easy to lock down mid, and obviously the Timber... I mean, it's a Timber. They're not going to be able to... not going to be able to take him down immediately, as we see right there. King Tekka does make the move, but doesn't drop down the arena. And now he might be in some trouble. Monkeys is going to chase him down, or maybe not, just going to run him off of the lane. Not looking for the fight right now. Not even going to go after Kara, as the Warlock just kind of sneaks away. But Monkeys is more...
everyone.
He wants the lane control instead, but now here comes the TP in from Tano. They're going to try and give this a go. Alone, making it over as well. Can they get this one done? They're going to go in with a spear, but Jubei is here once again in support of his teammate. That is going to absorb quite a bit of this... quite a bit of the damage, as Monkeys does end up timber chaining into that cursed crown, but it's still not going to matter. They walk away. That's 4 heroes bought, nothing gained.
And I feel like Monkeys can just walk right back down here. At the same time, Rises, who had TP'd back to base, walks all the way top and dies for relatively nothing. This is a terrible situation for EgoBoys, where now Monkeys, he's fearless. You already had your rotation. Morph is really the only spell that could possibly kill you, and that's just stealing your own attributes. I think this is just a really free, clean game so far from TOOBASED. Jubei was exactly where he needed to be. Maybe not even, doesn't even know that the Mars had rotated bottom, but had already sort of made the call that he needs to stand behind his Timbersaw. There's no way that they can kill him if I'm behind him. Just really smart plays just all the time from them.
Rises, got to be very careful here. Flea's coming in, hits him with the mana burn. Wants to connect with the Impale before that Blade Fury comes out, but they're not quite going to be able to time that one up correctly. So the Jug will fall back, but he just TP'd up to this top lane. He's immediately getting pushed away from the tower and, by extension, pushed away from the farm. So he was TPing up here, hoping to sort of catch back up. Instead, he almost immediately gets pressured and sort of has to play defensively as Flea... No detection here, so he's going to be sort of scurrying around in that Vendetta, looking for a play. Alone. Oh, no. Does he go max Agi?
That's what I'm a little bit worried about. This is
quite
what Alone
max.
loves to do, too. He loves going all the way down, all the way up. He's just an efficient player, and I don't think he will be able to get the kill with Flea. He needs one more hero, maybe a Plasma Field. But Alone, I think, also knows something might be up. The Nyx has stopped showing at the 10-minute mark. If he didn't know about a tome, then he would pretty much right now. I think Flea's going to have to give the jig up here in a couple seconds.
Yeah, he's running out of time. He's going for it, though. Oh, he gets it. The Vendetta hit into the burn, into the Impale. It's enough for the kill, and Alone... I mean, we just saw it coming. You might as well have just played the Jaws theme in the background. Flea is just so patient. And he gets off the kill. Now he's going to run into Kara as well. He's going to go for the Courier. We'll snipe that out too. So Flea's just setting up here. And yeah, they're going to go in. Kara gets hit up by the stun. Annihilate in with the Plasma Field into the Static Link. And that's just an easy second kill. King Tekka TP's in, but it is far too late to help out. He just needs to immediately try to fall back. But I'm not sure he's going to make it out. Annihilate hits him up, but there's going to be the arena into the Spear stun. Where's the backup though? Alone. Back into the fight. Waveforming himself forward. He's going to morph himself into the Razor, going for a Static Link of his own. So... he does manage to take away a little bit of that damage, but it's not going to result in any sort of actual kills. King Tekka no longer really has that contained. He could have gone for the spear, but there was no guaranteed latch point. It would have just pushed those heroes further away from the rest of the squad. So EgoBoys can't seem to really get anything. They lose Alone and Kara in that south side jungle. No kills going their way in exchange.
And they just are running out of resources. They don't have the levels. They don't have the same amount of farm as TOOBASED have, and they're really taking everything. Boris, he already has his armlet. He's able to do pretty much whatever he wants at this point. You see Annihilate going for that BKB. Monkeys Forever playing on the towers incredibly aggressively. They lost their carts in every single lane, but you claim the bottom tower, you claim the middle tower, you claim the top tower. It really feels like EgoBoys are running out of places to run to.
Running out of places to run to. We are 12 minutes into the game right now. And it's true. You're saying it because it's true. They're running out of safe places to farm. Anything that they do now is inherently going to carry a rather sizable degree of risk, and no one is ready to step up. The Morphling is broke. He's got a Dragon Lance. That's pretty much it. You've got a Maelstrom up on your Juggernaut. Maybe the Mars can make some plays here, even without the Blink Dagger, but you're scraping together really the bare minimum, and I don't really know that they can get this done, as King Tekka is going to get hit up in the top lane, and he's just straight up dead. Annihilate comes in with the Plasma, and they will secure another kill, their 6th of the game, and that is now a 6,000 net worth lead for Simply TOOBASED. They are running away with this one early, and I don't know how much EgoBoys are going to be able to do to sort of weather this storm.
And the only thing sort of working toward their advantage is this Radiant Triangle is still a stronghold that is very hard for TOOBASED to break open, but they take the space. Again, all of their rotations have been so clean. Immediately onto the bottom tower, Rises does cut that mid wave, and now he's trying to get something done on the mid tower, but the appropriate hero shows up time and time again. Nobody on TOOBASED is giving up anything they don't need to. And Rises does need to be careful. If he loses any more mana, he's not going to be able to get that Omni Slash off. It's a huge risk if he stays around any longer.
And there it is, Impale into the TP. Here it comes. Can they get him, though? No, they can't. Not just yet, actually. But the Chakram actually did clip him, and Flea's able to get it done with the Vendetta damage. That's just, I mean, it's not the right order, obviously, but who cares? Flea gets it done. The Vendetta's in for the damage. Rises will be taken down, and he doesn't even get that tower that he was going for in the first place. That's just going to make it hurt that much more, and it's going to hurt even more than the original even more, considering Boris did take the tier 2 tower down bot, and now TP's up to the top lane to defend that tier 1. This is just going horribly everywhere.
He's looking for someone.
Stunned up by the spear. Okay, he does have the Carapace, though, so they shouldn't be able to bring him down immediately, and now he's just going to turn around. Impale comes in into the Mana Burn, into that Wraithfire Blast, but they're not going to chase too much further forward. They realize, oh god, Alone and Rises are coming in. There's going to be the Chaotic Offering, though, thrown down, but I mean, really, what do they do here? They will take down Flea. Okay, that's a good, solid first kill, but they need to be able to get through the Wraith King here as well. They burn through the Reincarnation. He's coming back up, but Jubei is going to look to sort of roll his way in here, hoping to defend his teammate, while Annihilate will push forward as well, but the Omni is still going to be deployed. Rises can't get the kill initially, though, but now he's underneath the tower. Monkeys Forever, meanwhile, coming in on the backline, looking to dish out some damage with the Chakram, but stunned up by the spear. Pinned to the tree. Needs a little bit of help from Jubei as the Abbot does come in to save him, but now Jubei may be in some trouble himself. He is going to be able to pop that ult, though, to keep himself alive. So TOOBASED falling back successfully. They lose Flea. They lose the Reincarnation, but they're able to sort of maintain composure here. They're not going to immediately suffer any further casualties.
And King Tekka, that was the first arena. It really felt like something was finally happening. Alone as well, being able to become that Nyx. He had the levels in the Impale, so the stun felt impactful. But this is all to a degree where you got Reincarnation, you traded that for Rock. I don't think TOOBASED are afraid of anything at this point now. They weren't able to take down this Timbersaw. We haven't seen any really successful moves on the Timbersaw ever since they sort of failed that one go at him bottom. He already has a Sange, I think, completed. And this hero does not get easier to kill. Tano has no works of a Spirit Vessel. There's not even an urn on that team yet. The biggest item coming out, oh, they're setting up on Alone again. He's so low.
No, that's it. Easy kill for Flea. Once again, able to get it done himself. And now Kara, just like the last time, he's sort of lingering around here. He could be in some trouble as well, but there's no trees for Monkeys to Timber Chain to. So it looks like Kara should get away, but at that point, do you care? You got the kill onto Alone. Kara would have been a nice little sort of additional kill, but they don't really need it. Boris, though, very nearly getting onto the Juggernaut, but said Jug able to just sort of TP himself out there, use the Blade Fury for a little bit of extra protection, and he's at least going to avoid the same fate as his teammate. But Alone, he can't keep getting picked off like this. He's 0-3 at this stage in the game, and we talked about it in the draft. They were going to be relying on him so heavily to sort of bear a lot of the burden here, but now he TP's back in. He's immediately getting pressured up again. He and Rises being pushed off of the tower. And TOOBASED don't really seem to care right now, but here comes King Tekka into the fight. Arena is ready. He'll blink forward. Goes for the spear stun initially, though, onto the timber, but that aphotic shield immediately removes it. As long as Jubei's there, they really can't make that initiation.
And that's sort of the issue. These heroes should not feel equipped enough to kill this Morphling, but it's just Fleet time and time again getting these kills. And right now, this is 15-minute cart damage. This is a T2. You do not get the glyph back for killing these tier 2 towers, and it feels like this mid-tier 2 is more or less dead. And meanwhile, your Wraith King is not showing up. He's working towards his relic. He basically has it now. It feels like the farm that they're getting on EgoBoys is just really pennies compared to what TOOBASED are pulling out.
Yeah, 7k net worth lead for them, 17 minutes in, and still trying to put pressure on that tier 2. New creep wave is coming in, so I think this time around they should be able to get it. Still no glyph for EgoBoys' side, so that is a tier 2 taken down. Meanwhile, Kara caught out in the jungle. Nice play from Flea and Annihilate. Annihilate gets the kill, but Flea sets up another one. 3, 1, and 4 for this Nyx Assassin. He's just massive, and he's actually got a Spirit Vessel for himself. So we're talking about the fact that Tano didn't have one. Simply TOOBASED have picked one up, but now Boris, he needs just a few more seconds, but EgoBoys very wisely going to back themselves away. I don't think they could have gotten the kill within that time frame, and if they really miss the window, then they end up getting slowed by the reincarnation and sort of stuck in the middle of that fight, but they may be stuck here anyway. Rises. He's got a BKB, he's got the spin. Might as well just try and get himself out here, but Fleet is going to be able to spot him out, hits him up with the Impale. Into the Wraithfire Blast. Can they actually get this? Rises will start spinning now. That healing ward is still going to work. Nice Terrorize from Tano, though. That absolutely needed to come through. Otherwise, I think Flea and Boris could have caught up and found the kill. So, Juggernaut.
He got the TP on Tano. I don't know if they know. Yeah, they know now.
Oh, goodness. No. Flea. He's taking over the match single-handedly here. They're going to go in onto the Willow, hitting her up with the stun into the Spirit Vessel. Boris gets the crit down with the Mortal Strike, and it's not going to be the Jug, but it's a kill that they really had no business getting. Flea, though, just refuses to let anyone out of his sight.
And then now they had to make that choice. They were either going to go into the Roshan or they were going to sort of finish up those top kills and getting anything. It feels like none of their time wasted. Yeah, okay. Was able to escape.
Blink into TP, going to keep him safe. So Annihilate denied that one. He used a BKB charge there. That's the 9-second charge, so that's a bit unfortunate considering he doesn't get the kill, but overall, I don't really think that's going to matter too much, especially now that Boris has that Radiance online and TOOBASED are right into the pit.
Yeah, there's nothing that they can really do about it on the EgoBoys side. They could decide to make an appearance. Jubei has stopped hitting it. He should probably be in there hitting it with the Curse of Avernus, but they're really risking nothing. The scariest spell would be that rock coming through, a rock into Terrorize, being able to steal the Aegis, but they don't have a fantastic way of getting vision in the pit, aside from maybe like sending the healing ward in, hoping for any semblance of it. And even Monkey's, he's the one that's taking this Aegis because he wasn't dying before. Now he can play even more aggressive, get that mana back. That's probably the bigger aspect, where even if he does die, he kind of wants to die if he is not having any mana. They want to push up onto the high ground. And I really don't know what you do now. You have been sort of pushed back into your base time and time again. Alone does finally have that Aghanim Scepter, but they have the heroes to sort of deal with that, I think. If you just get the Carapace off and you're stuck as the Dark Willow, if you ever hit that Nyx Assassin, you always need to be sort of afraid of that aspect, and you can very easily still get bursted on that Morphling, and there's not much you can do about it.
Meanwhile, Tano gonna get himself caught out in that bottom lane a little bit, but the Shadow Realm will keep him out of that sort of sight line for TOOBASED as he does TP himself home. Meanwhile, for Alone, he does have the Ags, so the morph into the Dark Willow could get him the damage to maybe start hitting a little bit harder, but at this point it feels like that may not even be enough. He is going to do quite a bit more damage, but you still have the same concerns for him in terms of that overall durability, so it's a step in the right direction. There's no denying that, but at this point you got to wonder if it's too little too late. As Monkeys, this man just does not care. He's going to jump directly in onto Rises. There's nothing the Jug's going to be able to do to kill him off, at least not by himself, so Monkeys knows just how powerful he is in relation to these opposing heroes, and he's going to look to take advantage of it. Continuing to press forward, Flea now coming in with the Vendetta as well, but the Sentry is in place this time, so they saw the Nyx sort of making that cross, so they're going to be on guard for a potential play in from Flea again.
And the only reason the TOOBASED side sort of backed off for just a second was you did have those sort of cute creep cut plays that Rises and the Mars are still trying to sort of find. And Well, just barely. Got the spin off on the Juggernaut. But now, two-based, all the lanes are back in. They're here. They're finally pushing down your tower again, and there's no rebuttal. I don't think there's any response. Boris is almost killing Tano top, and he's dead.
It's simply two-based, my friend.
Boris able to find that kill. Good news, though, for EgoBoys is that they use Tano's death, I suppose, as a bit of a distraction. They're going to be able to sort of regroup a bit in the bottom lane, but they haven't actually pushed 2-base away from this tower yet. So the siege will continue. Monkeys Forever even getting in there with that flamethrower, just looking to do a little bit of extra damage, and the tier 3 may very well end up going down here. It will indeed fall. And EgoBoys are no closer to actually sort of forcing their opponents out of the base. Monkeys just sits here and dares someone to come fight him.
And this is all the space in the world. Boris can do whatever he wants. That really doesn't matter. Nobody is going to go kill the Wraith King in this situation. It's an all hands on deck. And Monkeys still has the Aegis. They have to kill him twice. There's Alone. He became the Dark Willow, but... Full Flea.
Stun onto Flea. Nice start. Can they lock him down, though? Yes, they can. Alone gets the kill. So, they are going in with that Shadow Realm damage. It's enough for one kill, but they're not going to be able to get much more than that. However... it's a kill going their way, something that they have been sorely lacking to this point of the game, and it stops that push. The melee racks will start to heal up. The tier 3 does go down, but it could have been so much worse than that. So EgoBoys have to be at least somewhat happy with the fact that they can mitigate that damage to their own defenses.
And Boris, it looks like he will get forced out of the enemy triangle, but look at this Timbersaw. He does not care. He has the backdoor gone for a few moments, so he's just going to go get some permanent damage. And it really doesn't matter. Alone, he has to be so cautious. If he does get close enough for Monkeys to actually take notice of him, it's probably too close. They're trying to make the play onto Jubei.
They do pop the ult at least, but the app is still holding on to a 20 charge wand, so they're not exactly going to be able to lock him down. They get the Cursed onto Monkeys Forever, though, but he's just too tanky, and even if you bring him down, the Aegis is right there for him. So at this point, I don't know. If you're EgoBoys, it feels like you might be running into a trap. I don't think they want to push any further forward than this, and Rises will realize that. But Kara's too far forward. He cannot be there, and you see exactly why. He gets blown up. No Chaotic Offering for him. No buyback available either, but they're going to go in anyway. This feels like a very bad idea, as they are losing King Tekka. They're going to be able to take down the 2 supports at least, though, so that's going to get them some money, but King Tekka still on the run. Tano gets taken down inside of the base as Annihilate's able to pick up the double, and this fight really starting to break apart, but it feels like 2-based are still the ones sort of in control right now as they push in onto that bottom lane of racks once again.
And you do have the rock, but what are you rocking? This Razor still has BKB. Boris still has his first life. I really don't know what you do at this point. You were able to kill the supports. You got Jubei before he had his ultimate back off cooldown. But as soon as that Morphling tried to put damage onto the Nyx Assassin, you get Carapaced, you get stunned up, you have to be careful. You start morphing strength in that you're not doing damage while you're morphing strength. And I can only imagine this gold lead is going to continue to get worse and worse for the EgoBoys side. And up until this point, you have no levels on the EgoBoys side. They've gotten so few kills. They haven't been farming all too much. Like, Alone, he's not even level 18. He doesn't have that morph on a 40-second cooldown. He has to be careful when he becomes the Dark Willow. It's not something free. They have to be so worried about what they expend, and if Kara ever wastes rock, I feel like the game is just going to end very shortly after. Even Rises.
In a little bit of danger, has to get himself away. Annihilate, though, pops the BKB. He's just going to keep on charging. No one's there to help. I mean, I don't know if there was anything they could do, but the fact that no one's even in position there is absolutely horrible. Rise is taken down. Annihilate gets that one almost for free. And they're still going. Tano's going to get stunned up here as well. Can they lock him down? Yes, they can. Plasma Field comes into play. Alone actually got clipped by that as well, so he's momentarily slowed. He's going to be able to get himself away, though. But EgoBoys just can't seem to catch a break. Multiple heroes down once again. In 2-base, they don't have the Aegis on the Timbersaw any longer, but I'm not even sure they need it. They're just going to push their way through. Tier 3 tower already taken down. Racks under attack, and if you're EgoBoys, what do you do? What is the play here? Maybe they can get a Blink Arena, but does Alone have the follow-up damage? Can you actually land the rock onto anyone of significance? The fact that we're asking those questions and we don't have an affirmative yes kind of spells disaster for them just 26 minutes in.
And every single time, here we go, King Tekka, he maybe found Flea, but it's just a Nyx Assassin. He's getting killed up.
Not even going to get it just yet. Jubei comes in, looking to pop that ult, rises. Yeah, he's running out of time on the Blade Fury. He has to fall back. Alone, though, pushing his way in for the damage. They will take Jubei down, so that's a nice start for them. They need more, though. Flea spotted out by the Sentry Ward. Meanwhile, they get the stun down onto Monkeys Forever, but they're going to look for the easier kill to secure. As they do jump in onto the Nyx Assassin, they will bring him down. Alone, able to pick up the double kill. The problem is, that fight comes after they've already lost the middle lane of Rax. They're 2 full lanes down now, 15k behind, but signs of life from the Morphling, if nothing else.
And you do have a lot of money on Alone. Alone might be able to get something going, but at the same time, every single time they go to that high ground, it's because they find Tano somewhere, whether it was killing him top or killing him really behind that tier 2. It feels like it doesn't matter because you keep on losing these objectives consistently. This is going to be really the last hurrah. They've got 1 set of racks left. If they get megas, they're just going to call GG. They could wait for the Roshan at this point if you're 2-based. And it feels like EgoBoys, they have to keep making these desperation plays. King Tekka, he's running away top. I don't think Boris has him, and they are a little bit scared, but really 2-based, I'm just waiting for them to pull the trigger.
Yeah, very much feels like, we sort of said it before in some of these previous matchups, it feels like EgoBoys have lost their own sense of agency in this match. This is very much not about them sort of fighting their way back in. They just need to try and draw the match out in the hopes that Simply 2-based make a mistake. Their own power to force the comeback just from their own actions is extremely limited, if not gone entirely. BKB picked up by Alone. Rises, meanwhile. Flea is sort of eyeing him up, but Flea has not quite been able to make the same degree of sort of aggressive plays that he was before. Part of that comes from the fact that his teammates just sort of, or excuse me, his opponents just sort of tanked up a little bit better as Alone. Jumping away from the initial lockdown here, but Monkeys continues to chase his way forward. The spear, though, will push him back, pinning him to the tree. Alone dishing out the damage here with that Shadow Realm, but it's onto Boris, who really doesn't care about it. And Boris is just going to keep pushing.
You had to use your BKB to TP out on Mars. They're probably going to eye up at least... No, they see the Roshan. They're not going to risk it. They're just going to probably force him to chase him out. And if EgoBoys have to leave their high ground, they cannot. If they leave the high ground, they are going to get picked apart by this Nyx Assassin. They've been lucky enough he's been dying in these arenas, but now that he has the Blink Dagger, Flea's just going to continue to be a thorn in your side. And with this ward up, if they don't make an attempt at this Roche, I think this game is all but done for 2-based. I think this is just going to be the end.
That laugh coming in once again as 2-based push their way into the Roche pit. However, EgoBoys are getting close, but this smoke is going to pop. Monkey's able to sort of break that play up while his teammates will finish Roshan off. Aegis Cheese and the Shard all going their way as I Annihilate will take said Shard, but Flea actually gets a little bit too far forward there, over in the west. He's going to be taken down by King Tekka, so that is a nice sort of pick off there for EgoBoys. The problem is that the Nyx Assassin has buyback and 2-based have Aegis and Cheese, so it's a trade-off that I think they're okay with as they will push their way forward. Boris using the Spider Legs, trying to catch up. Can he get in onto anyone? As of right now, no, but Jubei, that's a very aggressive push forward, but he does have the ult, so he is going to try and sort of keep himself alive for a little while longer, blinking himself away from the initial engagement, but here comes Alone, in with that Shadow Realm for the extra attack range and damage, and it is going to be enough to get the kill. Jubei taken down, now Monkeys forever. He's just sort of hanging out in the tree line, but he is going to get spotted, and I'm not really sure if he lives out of all of this. He's going to get hit up by the Adaptive Strike, stunned up repeatedly, Timber chaining his way out, though, but not going to be enough. Alone picks him off again, and at this point, I mean, the Morphling is starting to get a little bit more concerning if you're 2-base. You can't exactly afford to keep ignoring him here, as he's starting to rack up kills and gold.
And all of that sort of started with the greed coming out from Flea. If Flea is alive, they have to respect the Nyx Assassin. They have to respect that disable. But he got caught off guard by the Mindbreaker. If the Morphling didn't get a Mindbreaker, that wouldn't have happened. He would have got the Carapace off. He would have been able to blink. And spells 3 kills for them. At the same time, though, you have Scotty finished on this Razor. There's still an Aegis in his hand. As soon as they want to, I feel like they are just going to push in. You see Boris, they're preying on Alone if they see him. They do have the blink stun, but Alone finally level 18. That morph is not going to be sort of an issue anymore. You are always going to have it available to you. You're always going to be able to become that Dark Willow, so that timing has sort of passed by. But 2-based, they were losing a little bit of their gold lead, about 2k shifted towards the EgoBoys side. But again, I don't think this Jug is going to do anything in this game. I don't think he has done anything in this game.
Tano going to get himself caught out there in the jungle as he will be taken down. 2-based able to find that kill, and now
The buyback.
Oh, yeah,
That's actually a big problem for the Morph.
They're sort of knocking on the door of their opponent's base again, and yeah, the Dark Willow herself, maybe not that big of a deal, but Alone doesn't have that teammate to morph into anymore. You can't morph into a dead teammate, and without that play, they just have to sit back here and wait. So the death of Tano is kind of alarmingly painful for EgoBoys. Normally, your position 4 hero going down is not exactly a back-breaking play, but now they can't really do anything. They can't afford to take this fight. TOOBASED realized that. Monkeys Forever will push forward once again. He wants the Megas. Meanwhile, King Tekka in some trouble.
Mars.
Boris able to hit him up with the bash there, as he did recently purchase up that Skull Basher. And that is going to be King Tekka taken down. He does have a buyback, though, so he can get himself back into it. Tano has returned to the fight as well, but alone. Actually getting stunned up here. He's dropping dangerously low, and they get him. There's no buyback on that Morphe. Short 1,200 gold, and without him, I don't think they can hold. Mars is going to get hit up here, dropped low, taken down. That might just be the end of the game, as Kara trying to send that Golem in, but it's just not going to do any good. The Golem will fall. Tano is going to try to TP back, but the TP will be canceled. Kara falls, Tano dead as well, and that's it. GG will be called, and TOOBASED to take it.
And they were sort of clawing their way back there from the EgoBoys side, but you just didn't press your BKB on Morph. I don't know. You sort of see him as soon as that game was ended, he just immediately DCs, pulls an Arteezy. That was incredibly disappointing. He had the BKB. There was a little bit more fight there than I think we got to see, just because he didn't press his buttons. He got stunned up by the Nyx Assassin. He took a little bit too much damage. He got Mindbreakered, and just everything's gone. And I don't think Simply TOOBASED really had any business losing that game, but it's a little bit sad to see EgoBoys sort of puddle down to that loss. I feel like that could have ended in a little bit more of a spectacular fashion, a little bit more fireworks to see.
Yeah, try to go out with a bang rather than a whimper, but unfortunately alone, as you said, just didn't pop the BKB. I think he was just hoping to sort of draw that one out for as long as possible before he was forced to use it, and obviously we saw the results there. He just gets taken by surprise and taken out, but to a certain extent, yeah, like you said, I was sort of hoping that that one would be a little bit more exciting in the end. Alone racked up about 3 or 4 kills off some of those plays, so could TOOBASED have lost the game? Probably not, but the fact remains, Alone was at least sort of looking to make them work for it, and then the fact that it all just sort of collapses there at the end in a rather abrupt fashion is strange, but if you're TOOBASED, you take it. You close out the game. You were leading pretty much the whole way through. So they will secure that first victory as they get win number 1 on the board here. Question is, can they make it 2? It looked pretty good for them there in game 1, ahead for pretty much the entirety of that second half. So we'll see if they can put together a similar performance, if they can sort of put that pressure onto the EgoBoys cores once again for the 2-0 sweep, or if EgoBoys are going to be able to actually salvage themselves a point here. They have now lost 3 straight games on the day. They've got to sort of light a fire under themselves, try and get back into this to turn this one into a 1-1 split. So we will find out in just a few moments whether it's going to be TOOBASED with the 2-0 or if it's EgoBoys getting that 1-1 draw, as we will be back in just a few minutes for our final match of the day.